Hey guys, I wanted to make a brief video about frequency separation. It's something I use for Photoshop retouches. Um, Pretty much every time I have to go in and retouch an image. And it basically just separates textures from the tone colors and any such things like that. So I'll show you an example. First off, what you're going to do is start with uh, creating a duplicate of the layer. So you can do Control J to create two new layers. We'll call one high frequency and low frequency. And so for the low frequency, what we'll do is do filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And what you want to do is just enough to get rid of the textures. So the idea of this is to remove blemishes or things like that. So you want to get the colors similar, kind of blended in together. So I know right about here is pretty decent, so we'll go with that. So that'll be, click OK on that. And then we'll switch to the high layer now. And what we do here is do image, apply image. And what this is going to do, we want to make sure it is layering from the low frequency layer, and we're going to subtract. So this is just going to do subtracting everything that's not in the low layer. So if you were looking at it backwards, in addition, it's going to be the exact same image with these two layers combined. So you just want to make sure that you're sampling the low layer that's blurred, you're using subtract, and the scale is 2 and offset 128. That's just standards. I didn't create these numbers, but that's generally the consensus you'll find online. So you want to just make sure all the textures, you can see all the textures here. So click OK on that. And the only other thing you need to do is make sure that you're using a blend mode, linear light. Okay, and so together, these two layers, and we can group these up, just create a new group, and we'll call that frequency separation. Okay, and so now, if you hide this, you'll notice that it is the exact same image with both of those layers. So now the advantage of this is now we can work in two layers. So if I'm wanting to make changes to the tones or the colors, make it more like of a blended uniform coloring, I would work in the low frequency. But if I want to change some of the details, some of the textures, I would work in the high frequency. So for example, let's sample a little image here. There's not a lot to work. Maybe here a little bit on the nose we see some red. So what you'll do is you'll take a layer, generally similar values. So we can kind of go up through here. I'll say the nose. Let's kind of blend this images together. Okay. And then you want to make sure you have some feathering, so it's not like there's some smoothness around the borders. It's not just a straight line. So right about here, I'm using 12.8. Seems about good. So you do OK. And what you do is blur Gaussian again. And as you can see, some of the redness is gone. If you go too far, it'll start inverting and won't look good at all. And if you do none at all, you're not going to see any change. So generally I like to do, I think for this image, maybe 8. You can see some of the evenness, some of the highlights and shadows go away. And what you do is you just do this for similar layers here. So we'll go here, we'll do a little bit of the cheek. I can do the same thing. And you just work in, you generally don't want to do the entire face because there are different highlights and whatnot. And you don't want it to look just flat. So here we can see maybe a little bit more. That's generally good. Okay. And then let's do a little bit on this side. We can do this cheek. And you want to stay away from the hard lines like the nose or the lips or the eyes. You don't want to blur those colors because there's a lot of definition, and you don't want it to look completely fake. So filter, blur, and Gaussian blur, and you can do shortcuts for these as well, so you don't have to do this all the time. But you can see kind of, if you're previewing, some of this is lightened up, so we'll do okay. Okay, and so generally, let me just do one more section here around the mouth. Okay. Okay. And just keep making sure the feathering's on. Blur, Gaussian blur. Okay. Maybe a little more. Okay, good. Alright, so that's generally it. So now some of the blemishing is gone. You can look at, if I'm toggling between the new frequency separation in the background, you can see that some of the shine and some of the darkness is gone. So that's generally what we're trying to look for. Skin's already fairly smooth, so not a lot, just some minor retouching. So then, as for the high pass, this is if we want to, do some touching up on the skin textures. So any skin textures that we're looking to get rid of, blemishes, like whatnot. So if we zoom up a little bit, like this right here, these little blemishes. So what you do is you'll clone stamp, and just make sure you're sampling the current layer only. We'll make this a little smaller, and we want the hardness, we want it somewhat feathered. So what you'll do is just go around and you'll sample close by, and then you just paint on. And what this will do is just get rid of those textures. And you just go around, paint the face a little bit, so we have a little more evenness, like this blemish, shine. And that's pretty much it. Get rid of some of that. You can get rid of some of these texture lines if you'd like. You don't want to get rid of too much. You don't want to look too unnatural. But so the advantage of this is you retain the textures and the colors, and now you can do them in a separate sort of way. So here we go. Do a little touch out. Okay, you can clean that up. There you go. A little bump on the nose. Yep. The rest of it looks good. And you can tone the opacity down as well. Let's say if we want to get rid of some of the lines around the eyes, what this will do is just get rid of the textures, and it'll keep all the colors. Okay, smooth that out a little bit. Same thing on the other side. Use a smaller brush. There you go. Just evens it out. And since I'm doing multiple passes, just because my opacity is not 100%, so looking pretty good. And so that's generally it for frequency separation. So if we go zoom out, you'll see that the skin is actually very smooth now, and the advantage is you still have all the textures, so it's not like a flat, untextured image anymore, but the face looks very high-end. So just a little before and after. This is what we've done, and this is what it used to be. So you can see it does clean up an image, and that's it. That's generally what I wanted to show you guys for frequency separation. It's something I do every day. Some images require a heavier use of this for touching up, and some do not, but it's generally a good idea just to keep a simple outline of going over this at least one time, and it doesn't take too long once you get you can also what we do is that we can do actions, and so whenever you get an image, you just run an action, and it'll create these two layers for you, and then you can go right in. So make it even shorter for you. Okay, let me know what you guys think in the comments. That's all I got. Thank you. Bye.